What's up, Jane?
Hi there.
What up?
How do I address my mom about how she plans to split her estate fairly, given both of my brothers have passed away?
Yowzers. Tell me more about that.
Both my brothers passed away young, one at 50 and one at 60.
Jane, I'm sorry. What were their names?
Yeah. Steve and Jeff.
Ugh, sorry.
Yeah. So both of them left behind two kids,
Okay.
adult kids. Well, they were in their teens or early 20s, but adults. Both of them left behind two kids. So I am the sole one left, and I also have two kids. So my mother is just doing her estate planning and hasn't really done much. My brothers are still on all the paperwork, so we're trying to figure all that out.
Okay.
And, she's asking me questions. I mean, does she do it where it's, me 1/3 and then both of my brother's kids would each split their father's portion?
No.
Or
She needs to leave the entirety of it to you with instructions on what to do with it.
Oh, okay.
Because here's what's going to happen. She's going to leave, like, let's say, a home to 6 people. 2 kids of one brother, 2 kids of another brother, and your 2 kids.
Well, that was the question. She wasn't going to leave any of the third to my kids. They would have just gotten it once I passed away.
Okay, so think about this. So it's to 5 people, and one of those kids is going to be broke and want to move in. And then another one of those kids' wife is going to want to sell that house because she wants the cash to redo her kitchen. And you are going to want to just slow down everybody. And somebody's going to sue somebody who's going to sue somebody. It's going to end up in court, and they're going to sell it, and you're going to lose money on the house, and then everyone's going to walk away hating each other.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yes. The greatest gift is leave you the house with instructions to, when you die or immediately, you sell the house and give proceeds to X, Y, and Z. But it's very common that there's a ranch, and the parents leave the ranch to all 3 kids. And one of those kids has an ex who has a stepson, and that stepson says that land's worth $4 million. I want to sell it right now, and it just gets chaotic.
Other than the house, how about things where there's beneficiaries, like accounts she has with different banks, CDs, all kinds of things like that? Does she split that?
I mean, if it's a clean split and she wants to give, Tony Jr. something and Danny Jr. something, she can do that. I like leaving everything to a trust and having you as the custodian of the trust.
Okay.
And then asking Mom, what are your wishes for this trust? And she writes them out. When I pass away, I want like 1/3 of the total cost of these assets to go to these 2 kids, and they can split it up. And I want 1/3 to go to these folks, and I want 1/3 to go to you. Or, you know what? I just want my grandkids to have $25,000 each. And you can decide how we're going to get that dollar amount. But
that would be split against the 6 grandkids then, not just the ones that lost their parents.
Y'all get to decide that. But I think here's the deal. I think it's asking your mother, what are her end goals for each one of these grandkids?
Okay.
And trying to find an exact dollar amount is really a tough way to do it.
It is.
And more so, granddaughter Susan is really into art and design. I want enough money for her to go to art and design school. And that might be $120,000. And Tim is really into plumbing. I want to pay for him to go to plumbing school. That's going to be $22,000.
Okay.
But I think asking her that. But yeah, if she just decides to leave her assets to 5 people, it just takes. I've only seen that done well one time.
Really?
And it was, interestingly, it was my dad's parents. My dad's older brother. I remember the Christmas day I was younger. I remember it. My dad's oldest brother, my uncle. There's 4 of them, 4 kids, 3 brothers and a daughter. My oldest uncle called a meeting, and he went in the back bedroom at a Christmas Eve Christmas gathering of our whole family. And he, as the oldest brother, said, there's going to be no fighting, no hating, no dissension. Our family will not be broken up, as my grandparents were getting really, really old and their health was faltering.
Mm-hmm.
And he pointed at one of my uncles and says, you're an accountant, you're on the money. I'm going to handle some of the medical stuff, and my family will be responsible for this. And they just split it up that way. And if you want a thing, go put a sticker on the bottom of the furniture of the couch or the whatever. And we are not going to divide our family over this. And that's the only way I've ever seen it done. And all the other, everybody shook hands, they all hugged, and that was that. And when my grandparents passed, it was the smoothest transition I've ever seen, but it's because one brother had the respect of everybody else, and all four of them are really amazing people of character.
Right.
And that was it. And it's just, I've never seen it happen like that any other way.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I would, how much money are we talking here? Are we talking millions, or are we talking $100,000 total?
$2 million.
Okay. 1 million or multiple millions?
2.
2 millions? Okay. So it may be, Mom, how do you want to split this up? Do you want each grandkid to get $250,000? Do you want each kid to get $250,000 worth of a thing? And I think making you the custodian of the trust as her oldest daughter, her last remaining child.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, she's going to have to trust you. I guess she can make a lawyer the custodian of the trust, but my guess is she trusts you.
She trusts me. Yeah, she trusts me. That's why she's leaving this to me to figure out.
So it's rarely the kid. Occasionally it's the kid that the parent doesn't trust, but I'm less worried about that. I'm more worried about one of those grandkids married to somebody who finds out or thinks that their grandmother was worth millions, plural.
Mm-hmm.
And they just start suing, they start demanding, they start fighting, they start claiming, and it just takes a really special moment of grief and mourning and a really cool story where your grandmother and your dad, your mom and dad saved millions to share their legacy, and it becomes just poisoned.
Yep. It happens all the time. You hear about it all the time.
I wouldn't have a job if it didn't happen, and it breaks my heart every time. Because it's just so unnecessary. But people just get starry-eyed, and they're going to say, no, that house is worth $8 million. Like, it's clearly not. And then the whole thing just gets silly. So as clear as can be, and as leave it to a trust, or she leaves it all to you with very clear written instructions as the executor of the will. I want this much to go to each one of these grandkids, and the rest will go to you to split among your kids when you die. And by the way, you get to decide which... if heaven forbid one of your kids is struggling with addiction, or the worst thing you could do is leave him $500,000.
Right.
Right? And so you get to decide how you handle your 2 kids.
Got it.
And I think there's having some guiding principles. $2 million is a chunk of money. Handing a grandkid $250,000 may be the greatest gift ever. Handing a grandkid who is really struggling with opiates, $250,000 will kill them. And so having the discernment, or having an executor of the will or a custodian of the trust that can both meet grandmother's wishes and also have some discernment, because I refuse to kill one of my grandkids with a gift.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So all this is messy. All this is hard. I would sit down with your mom and lay out what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
We're not worried about... It's not about honoring her sons. It's about the reality of, hey, all those kids may have married somebody who may have a weird cousin, and here's how we're going to do this. We're going to leave it all there, and we're going to go from there. Does that sound fair?
None of them are married yet, so you don't know what the future will hold with that.
That's exactly right. Right. And I love how old are these grandkids?
Anywhere from 27 to 40.
Okay, so they're established, right? They're all single and established?
They're mostly, a few of them have some issues, but because they got a lot of money when their parent died, so that became a problem like you were kind of talking about.
Okay.
But they're pretty all established, yes.
Okay. And so maybe it's a matter of the money is left to you to help pay off a mortgage. I'm not giving away cash.
Yeah.
Or maybe the money is left to establish a second trust for their kids, if they ever have them, for them to go to college.
I suggested that. She didn't like that part.
Well,
But
that's cool.
for some
I mean,
reason-
you get to make all the suggestions. It's her money at the end of the day. And here's what
Right.
really will break your heart. She can do whatever she wants with her money.
Right. I understand that.
Ugh. And I hate that, but it is what it is, what it is. And if that's the case, I would take my 1/3 and I would stay as far away from that dance as possible.
Yeah. Okay. That's
that
a lot
cool?
to think about.
It
Yep.
is. Just remember this: clear is kind. And let's think not in dollar amounts. Let's think in stewardship. What do we want this money to be used for? How can this money bless somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Is it education? Is it a mortgage? Is it healthcare? Like, what is this money going to be used for? The worst thing would be a lifetime of money saved and earned to pass on that gets blown on vacations and depreciating asset like a stupid car purchase. And like, what a blow to such an amazing legacy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, she's lucky to have you as her daughter.
Well, thank you very much for your advice. I'm going to just absorb it all in and talk to her some more.
Good. Best of luck to you. I also know no parent wants to talk about money or sex with their kids. And so that's a tough conversation just to have, period. But yikes.